Welcome to today's deep dive. If you're listening right now, take a quick look at your calendar.
Yeah, check the date.
Right, because today is Thursday, March 5th, 2026. And the reason that specific date matters so much is that tomorrow a really fundamental shift takes place in the astrological weather.
A major shift.
Yeah, we are looking at this undeniable change in how we process our desires, how we approach our relationships, and even how we tackle our ambitions.
It's huge.
So the mission of this deep dive today is to prepare you for exactly that shift. Because there is this sudden surge of incredibly bold, deeply impatient energy headed your way.
Very impatient.
And the goal here is to figure out how you can actually harness it, without entirely burning your life down in the process.
Right, because it is a notoriously delicate balance. It's incredibly easy to get swept up in a new wave of energy, especially when this potent, and just completely lose your footing.
Oh, totally.
The temptation is to let the momentum make your decisions for you. So our goal today is to unpack the mechanics of this energy so you can ride the wave instead of being pulled under by the undertow.
To do that, we have a really fascinating stack of source material to work through. We're looking at an astrological forecast specifically for tomorrow, March 6th, 2026.
And it's paired with something really unique.
Exactly. It's paired with a companion sci-fi short story called StoryScope, Desire at Full Throttle.
Which is such a cool concept.
It really is. Both of these pieces come from Tarot by High C, and you can find more of his work online at tarotbyhihac.net.
Highly recommend checking that out.
Definitely. But at first glance, you might wonder what an astrological transit has in common with a daring space heist.
Right. A space heist, a priceless old Earth painting, and a deadly asteroid field.
It sounds totally disconnected, but the through line is actually brilliant because they both prove that, as of tomorrow, playing the shrinking violet is officially out of style.
Which is an understatement, honestly. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because tomorrow, the planet Venus moves into the sign of Aries, and it stays there through March 30th.
Okay, so let's break that down for people.
Right, so Venus is traditionally the planet associated with love, beauty, attraction, harmony. It's fundamentally a receptive energy. It's all about what we draw toward ourselves.
Like a magnet.
Exactly like a magnet. But Aries, on the other hand, is the warrior. It's the initiator. It's the spark that starts the fire.
So they're almost opposites in how they operate.
They are. And when you force those two archetypes into the same room, the dynamic completely changes. Desire stops being a passive magnet and becomes a heat-seeking missile.
A heat-seeking missile. I love that. But doesn't that inherently create, a psychological traffic jam?
How so?
Well, you have Venus trying to create harmony, right? And then Aries is trying to pick a fight or conquer a territory. So how does that tension actually play out in everyday life?
It creates friction, absolutely. Yeah. But friction creates heat. What happens is that desire becomes highly, undeniably direct.
Direct in what way?
The forecast points out that over the next few weeks, you are going to experience a much sharper awareness of what you want, who you want, and crucially, what you are no longer willing to sacrifice or wait for.
So the waiting game is over.
Completely over. That passive approach of hoping someone notices you or hoping your boss recognizes your hard work.
That just evaporates.
It just evaporates. People are going to feel a sudden compulsion to initiate conversations, to just walk up to someone and state their intentions without any of the usual protective padding.
It's the death of the mixed signal.
The death of the mixed signal.
The forecast actually specifically mentions that in the realm of dating and relationships, quote, mixed signals become exhausting. And honestly, that makes perfect sense to me.
Right, because we usually rely on mixed signals as a defense mechanism.
Exactly. We hedge our bets to avoid the sting of a direct rejection. We think, well, if I'm vague, it won't hurt as much if they say no.
But under this Venus-Aries alignment, patience just completely thins out.
Yeah, all that mental math. The whole, should I text them? Should I wait 3 days? What did this specific emoji mean?
It suddenly feels like a massive waste of time.
A complete waste of time. Love becomes all about the chase.
And that impatience bleeds into every other area of your life, not just romance.
Oh, definitely. The source material notes that creative urges are going to demand immediate action. Your career instincts will push you toward initiative rather than contemplation.
Think about how many times you, or maybe someone you know, has sat on a brilliant idea.
Oh, so many times.
Right. Plotting it out on a whiteboard for 6 months, waiting for the perfect time to launch.
The mythical perfect time.
Exactly. This is the energy that makes you grab the eraser, wipe the board clean, and just launch the thing.
Just do it.
Right. It's an ideal time to begin a new artistic endeavor simply because the barrier to entry,
Which is usually your own hesitation.
your own hesitation, yes,
Yeah.
that barrier is drastically lowered.
It sounds incredibly liberating. It's like waking up and realizing the permission slip you've been waiting for was in your own pocket the whole time.
That's a great way to put it.
But I have to imagine there is a shadow side to this. A sudden burst of unfiltered, I want it now energy has to come with some serious risks.
It does, and the forecast flashes some very bright yellow warning lights here.
Let's talk about those.
The most immediate risk is impulsive finances.
Ah, right.
When desire is this direct and this impatient, you might find yourself suddenly justifying a purchase of a $2,000 espresso machine at 2 in the morning.
Because you decided in that exact moment that you are absolutely destined to become an amateur barista.
Exactly, and you need it right now. But there is a deeper, more profound warning in the material, too. It warns us to watch out for impulsiveness, causing our desire to outrun awareness.
Desire outrunning awareness. That phrase alone is worth the price of admission today.
It's a powerful phrase.
Because what does it actually mean to outrun your own awareness? It means you get tunnel vision. You lock onto the target.
The new job, the new relationship, the impulse purchase.
Right, and the rest of the world just blurs out.
Which is incredibly dangerous. You start paying attention to your surroundings, to the consequences of your actions, and most importantly, to the collateral damage you might be inflicting on the people around you.
Yeah, that need for constant movement and new experiences can seriously interfere with long-term stability.
It really can. If you are in a long-term relationship or a steady career, this raw, unfiltered Aries energy can expose where you've been avoiding honesty.
That's the part that really struck me. If you've been pretending to be happy with the status quo just to keep the peace,
This transit has a habit of ripping the Band-Aid off.
sometimes way before you're ready to deal with the wound.
Exactly. So the challenge is figuring out how to engage with this fire without burning the house down.
Which is the core of the astrological advice here. It boils down to this. Act boldly, assert your truth, but do not disregard the consequences.
It's about refining your desire rather than suppressing it.
The forecast uses this great visual. It says you have to keep one foot on solid ground.
Right. You don't ignore the impulse, but you maintain an anchor.
And this concept of keeping one foot on solid ground while the other is sprinting toward what you want is precisely what the creator of this forecast explores in the companion short story.
Yes, the sci-fi story.
Right. By taking these abstract astrological concepts and dropping them into a narrative, we get a real-time simulation of what this energy looks like when it's just walking around, making decisions, and facing consequences under pressure.
And the story is called Desire at Full Throttle.
It acts as a perfect, practical allegory. The setting alone is a masterclass in atmospheric astrology.
Oh, it really is. Paint that picture.
So we're dropped onto a planet at a place called Port Callisto.
Wow.
It's this hub of neon-lit chaos. There are traders shouting over the roar of ship engines, gamblers arguing right next to massive cargo haulers.
And somewhere in the background, a musician is attempting to sing a love ballad, so tragically off-key that it's described as feeling like a crime.
Yes, I love that detail.
The inclusion of that terrible musician is actually a brilliant detail. Because why include a bad singer in a story about desire?
Right, why put that in there?
Because it represents unapologetic action. That musician isn't waiting to be perfect. They're just doing it.
Just putting it out there.
Exactly. The entire environment is a mirror for the Venus in Aries transit. The air feels sharper, people are arguing faster, laughing louder, and deals are being struck in mere seconds.
There's even a brief mention of two strangers kissing against a cargo crane like they'd been waiting years for the moment.
The atmosphere is just completely saturated with the idea that impatience equals opportunity.
It's the external manifestation of what our brains feel like when we are hit with a sudden, overwhelming inspiration.
Right in the middle of this neon chaos, we meet our two main characters.
Captain Elia Rourke.
Yes, Captain Elia Rourke. She's standing on the landing ramp of her battered transport ship, the Comet's Mercy.
And beside her is her pilot, Thomas Vale.
Right. He's leaning against a crate with this relaxed grin. Tomas looks at Elia and observes that she has a very specific look on her face.
The look that says they are about to do something extremely bold and possibly extremely stupid.
That brief exchange really establishes the core conflict of the month ahead.
Elia fires back that bold doesn't mean stupid.
And Tomas, acting as the voice of caution, points out that statistically speaking, it often does.
Which is fair.
Very fair. So Elia embodies the driving, direct Aries energy, while Tomas represents that necessary awareness of consequence.
They are in Port Callisto to sell a priceless art piece, a stormlit landscape painting from the Old Earth era.
It's incredibly valuable, which means half the underworld wants to steal it.
Naturally. But Elia refuses to wait. She insists on doing the deal tonight.
Because, as the narrative notes, hesitation suddenly feels impossible.
Which ushers in the buyer, Sarah Kane.
There's a K.
If Elia is feeling the impatience of the transit, Sarah is the absolute embodiment of its directness. She arrives exactly 10 minutes later.
She's tall, elegant, dangerous.
Wearing a long, dark coat. And she carries the distinct confidence of someone who rarely, if ever, hears the word no.
The story notes she even smells faintly of amber and smoke.
Yes. Elia immediately feels this undeniable, visceral attraction twisting in her chest, and her internal monologue is simply, well, that was inconvenient.
I love that line. What is truly fascinating about Sarah is her complete lack of pretense.
She doesn't hide anything.
Think about how often we disguise our wants in polite society. We couch our desires in acceptable terms. We say we are just browsing or just exploring our options.
Right, we soften the edges.
But when Sarah looks at the painting, she acknowledges it is beautiful. But when Elia challenges her, noting that a person doesn't cross half the galaxy just for something beautiful.
Sarah's response strips away all the padding. She looks directly at Elia and says, no, I crossed the galaxy because I wanted it. That level of honesty is actually terrifying.
It is.
Because it is so vulnerable. When you bluntly state, I want this, you are leaving yourself completely open to a blunt no.
But Sarah doesn't care. She didn't come for the aesthetics, she came for the desire. She actually asks Elia, do you always pursue what you want this boldly?
And Elia answers, usually.
To which Sarah smiles and says, good. I dislike hesitation.
It is rapid-fire, unfiltered intention.
But an astrological transit isn't just a mood, right? It's an environment that creates reactions.
Right.
And because this is high-stakes narrative, the deal does not go smoothly.
Of course not. Just as the credits are supposed to change hands, the ship's proximity alarm starts screaming.
3 rival ships have arrived to ambush them and steal the painting.
And Tomas notes that of course they did. This is the consequence of rushing a high-profile deal in a dangerous port.
This is the moment where impulsiveness and awareness crash into each other.
Elia tells Tomas to warm up the engines. They are going to run.
And Sarah, completely unfazed by the mortal danger, decides to stay on the ship rather than flee.
They launch into the night sky with blaster fire, literally streaking past the hull of the Comet's Mercy.
Thomas is in his element, laughing, having the time of his life.
But Elias is in the co-pilot seat, and this is where she makes a choice that serves as the ultimate lesson for the listener.
Because diving into a space battle seems exactly like the reckless impulsiveness the forecast warns against.
It looks like pure chaos.
But look at the internal process. Elia forces herself to breathe. She reminds herself that bold doesn't have to mean reckless.
There is a massive psychological difference between panic and calculated boldness.
Exactly. Panic is a blind reaction to a stimulus. Boldness is a decision made despite the stimulus.
She tells Tomas to head straight into a dense asteroid belt.
Which is wild.
On paper, flying into a spinning field of giant rocks while being shot at is insane. But Elia knows Tomas is a dazzling pilot. She makes a highly calculated risk based on her resources.
Tomas twists the controls with precision, darting through the asteroid field like a knife through silk.
And the pursuing ships, blinded by their own uncalculated desire to get the painting, make the fatal mistake of trying to follow a superior pilot into a maze.
One enemy ship clips an asteroid and explodes. The other 2 literally slam into each other, trying to keep up.
In minutes, the threat is neutralized. Silence returns to the cockpit.
Sarah, who has been quietly watching this entire spectacle, comments on Elia's remarkable calm during the chaos.
And Elia's response is basically the thesis statement for the month of March. She says, panic wastes time.
That's the core message right there. When your own life, your career, your relationship, your ambitions gets chaotic this month under the pressure of this Aries energy, you have to ask yourself a question.
Are you reacting blindly to your fears, or are you making bold, calculated decisions?
That distinction brings us to the climax of the story and really the synthesis of our deep dive today.
They are safe in the quiet of deep space. The painting is secure. Sarah takes out the credit chip to finalize the payment.
But Elia doesn't take it immediately.
She pauses. She asks Sarah a question that gets right to the heart of the Venus and Aries transit. She says, why chase a painting across half the galaxy?
Sarah answers simply, because it made me feel something.
Elia pushes back, asking if a feeling is really worth risking your life for.
And Sierra delivers arguably the best line of the narrative. She says, "Isn't desire always a risk?"
It is always a risk. Every single time you reach for something you want, you risk rejection, failure, or loss.
Elia's response perfectly echoes the astrological weather report. She tells Sarah that desire is only a risk if you forget the consequences.
Sarah steps closer, completely erasing the physical distance between them, and asks Elia if she remembers the consequences.
And Elia says, "I try to keep one foot on solid ground."
There's that phrase again.
Yes, Sarah asks, "Only one?" And Elia replies, "The other's usually running toward trouble."
It is the perfect encapsulation of how to navigate this transit.
You cannot be completely safe, rigid, and guarded. That denies the truth of the Aries energy, and it guarantees you will miss out on the opportunities it presents.
But you cannot be entirely untethered either.
Exactly. You need the anchor of your own awareness.
Sarah hands over the credits and then makes the ultimate direct move. She suggests they pursue something slightly less dangerous than a space heist: dinner.
Elia points out that it sounds suspiciously like a date.
And Sarah doesn't play coy. She just says, it is. No games. No waiting 3 days to send a casual message.
Notice Elia's reaction to the invitation, though. She hesitates for a moment.
But that hesitation is not born out of fear or a desire to play hard to get.
No, it comes from awareness.
Ah.
She is fully aware that bold choices have consequences, and getting involved with someone like Sarah is a massive complication.
But she also realizes that in this moment, honesty matters more than playing it safe. She smiles and says yes.
The narrative wraps up with Tomas asking if they are rich yet or still flirting.
And Elia tosses him the credit chip, saying both.
But as the ship drifts through the stars, Elia has a final realization that serves as the perfect takeaway for anyone listening.
Desire didn't have to be reckless. Sometimes the bravest thing you could do was simply admit what you wanted and chase it before the moment disappeared.
That is the practical application of everything we've discussed today. From March 6th through March 30th, you are going to be presented with moments. Maybe large moments, maybe small ones.
Where you have to choose between playing it safe and speaking your truth.
The bravest thing you can do is drop the armor, admit what you want, and pursue it.
Let's pull all of this together for you. Over the next few weeks, expect to feel a powerful drive to drop the act. You are going to feel the urge to stop waiting around and chase exactly what you want.
Whether you are eyeing a new relationship, contemplating a bold artistic endeavor, or finally making that career move you've been putting off.
The energy available to you is fast, impatient, and brutally honest.
But keep the warning close to your chest. Keep one foot on solid ground.
Do not let your desire outrun your awareness.
Assert your truth, absolutely. But do not disregard the consequences or trample on the people around you just because you feel a sudden need for speed. Bold does not mean stupid.
If you found this breakdown insightful and want to explore more about how these cosmic shifts might impact you personally, you can read the rest of the daily StoryScopes or even schedule a one-on-one reading with the author. Just visit tarot.hic.net.
Before we wrap up, there is one final, deeper consideration raised by this material.
The forecast notes that right now, love and desire are all about the chase.
But it also explicitly warns that this fiery energy will expose the places in our lives where we've been avoiding honesty with ourselves.
Which leads us to a final provocative thought for you to ponder on your own time. As you step into this month of direct action and unfiltered intention, ask yourself this.
If you strip away all your hesitation and you run as fast as you can, and you finally catch that thing you've been chasing so impatiently.
Are you actually prepared for the reality of holding it? Or when you are truly brutally honest with yourself, is your true desire just the intoxicating adrenaline of the chase itself?
It is a heavy question,
Okay.
and one only you can answer. But given the energy of the weeks ahead, this is certainly the month you are going to find out.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's deep dive. We will be back soon to unpack more incredible sources and find the signals in the noise. Until then, remember to keep one foot on solid ground, and we'll see you next time.